Hi, this is Genesis again, and today I'm looking at Vcom AI and trying to figure out how to make vehicles work better. So, the first thing I'm doing is trying to make it so APCs or any vehicle carrying people, even helicopters, will drop them off effectively into a combat situation there. So this, for me, is actually rather challenging. Uh, Versatile wise, how to handle that, where to drop off troops, where is okay, where is not okay. For some reason, that is just very difficult for a couple of reasons. Is you can have so the Becoming AI works off the individual AI, and then one step larger, maybe the groups, like the group itself. But when you have a helicopter, the driver and the gunners may be in a separate group, and you have maybe multiple groups inside of a vehicle. How do you let it know to let off all those troops and things like that? I know, like, logically it sounds simple, but when it comes to coding, I just haven't gotten to that point yet where it makes a lot of super sense and to do that. So this is what I have already, and I'm just going through it. I'm cleaning it up and just trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I think I even changed this script a couple times already. Um, the way I have it set up right now is the driver of the vehicle does it, and it's not just the leader decides when the people should empty out. It's mainly the driver, but each AI can activate the script uh, to let the driver know that they need to get out. And so I'm hoping that this will work. You see, later in testing, I got most of it to work fairly well. One problem was that I had like one situation that you'll see where the entire group got out except for one AI decided to get out and get back in, get out and get back in, and I couldn't figure out why yet. I ran out of time, but um, I'm pretty sure this should be fairly easy to fix. So here I'm just going through. The way I have it set up is that it's all dealt with the same script, and I could split it up, and I might have to do that. But helicopters, APCs, whatever, all dealt with the same script. It just does like a height check. So it just gets pause, it gets the position of the vehicle, and then if the height is higher than 2, then it assumes that the vehicle is an aircraft and that it is flying around, or it got blown up and is flying into space. So at that point, they don't need to disembark anyway. So it just deals with that. And if it's higher than 2, then it will just have them land. Do things like that. I'm trying to remember. I recorded this yesterday. Oh yeah. And this was just, I had a little tangent here. I actually looked up some skill setting for the AI. So I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but Vcom AI, the longer their target sits in one place, the more accurate the AI get. Oh, and this is a really cool thing. So I'm using Killzone Kid's private variable extractor. If you Google that, you'll see it. You're gonna want to favorite that if you make a lot of scripts, and if you're lazy like me. All you have to do is just copy and paste the script into there and press a button, and it generates all your private variables for you. If you have a script that has a lot of spawns in it and things like that, you still have to go through each spawn and add them in there. But if you're lazy and just want someone to hand you what you want for to put at the top there, I would do that. And you do want to use the private command up there a lot. I've had issues with, especially in some bigger mods, not using it. So, um, just doing some more. I think I can't remember actually what I was doing here. It's just some things like updating them, using remote execute instead of call bizfunctionp, because that's now kind of, I would say obsolete, but it's out of date. So I comment that out there just in case I have an issue. Um, just testing some things here. So, but that part of that script right there is, and I'm not fully happy with it. But when an AI dies, one way I force the AI to not walk right where that AI died is to spawn like almost an invisible barrier that the AI cannot cross for a short time. because either that or have to force updating constantly, force pathing updating constantly, and do checks and things like that, which would just drag the frame rate down too much, I believe. So a simple solution is to just put almost an invisible wall for that AI, and to make sure that all the players and AI that aren't impacted by it, they can walk through, they can pass through. Here is something that you should probably use a lot. So I have this little script here, and I'm going to make it easier to look at in a second. It's called call biz func code and performance, and you can kind of see how I have it set up there. What I was curious is, you see I have a whole bunch of if-then statements broken up, and I do that on purpose because if the first one isn't valid, it'll not check the rest instead of me doing a giant and statement. But there's something that since I've made the script, I learned that you could use little brackets, and it's called, I can't remember what it's called. I call it weak conditioning. So if the first one comes up true, they won't even bother to check the rest, or the first one's false, won't even bother to check the rest. So I think they do the same thing, just looks different. And the point of that is if I had all those, if waypoint is and I didn't have the weak conditioning there, then Arma, even though like the first one may come up false, that means they all need to be true for the script to run. So they all need to return true. Like all can't be that. But even if Arma says, hey, this first one's false, so immediately the function won't fire, I'm still going to check all the rest of these, which is wasting frame rate. You can see here I go ahead and do a test, and it returns how long it took to run 1,000 iterations of that code. And I didn't know this, but it actually automatically copy and pastes it to your clipboard, so that's real nice that it does that if you're the host. So I can see that I ran them both. I actually didn't, I keep running them, and you see there's still variation even after 1,000 iterations each of the average. It really didn't matter which method I did it, so I left it the same because they both ran the exact same because they both technically do the same code. One may look nicer than the other, but honestly, I feel like I like the way that looks easy. It's easier on the eyes for me, so I kept it that way. And here I am actually fixing another bug for the warning distance. So there was actually a bug with AI responding to gunshots and things properly. I was completely unaware of and haven't had reported, which is surprising because there's so many other ways for AI to become aware. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and just fix that real quick. I'm checking the config file. Another thing I need to check with that config file is if it's not under your C drive for some reason. I don't think the Armor looks for it properly. Well, that's weird. I'm trying to think what I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm just going and updating that. And so the way I set up Vcom AI is there's certain variables like the AI warning distance, so the distance the AI will respond to gunshots and things is 600 meters by default, and obviously you can change that. But I'm going to have to change that up so you can change it on the fly, just in the editor for the AI. So each AI can have their own individual responses if you want to get that detailed with it and that specific. As you can see, I'm looking here under closest ally warned and how to set that up. I'm not really that sure. So I think I hop into some testing right here and I see some issues right away. But while this is getting loaded up, I need to think, maybe if you have any ideas you could let me know. So right now the AI have, when they're planning their movement, if they know that the squad that they're fighting is fairly small, so if they outnumber them by I think it's more than half, that the AI will essentially just set the waypoint on top of the squad to go just charge essentially. Still using cover and all that nonsense, but charging. And it can create some pretty cool scenarios. So say the AI are because they really dance around each other, dance around the players too, if you have a larger squad. But if they somehow manage to kill a big chunk of you, and there's AI running into buildings, which is always good. And so you can see the AI keep getting out and in here, which that's so frustrating. I'm gonna end up fixing that, but I should delete their waypoints to test, and that fixed it. So anyway, if So it's like, well, I don't, the AI will charge. So if you have like 12 squads of AI, which is unreasonable for some missions, and you have a squad of two, for whatever reason, you have to text that squad, they all will just charge the player, which is, I mean, maybe that is a proper response to just wipe them out, and that is kind of part of the challenge, is to try to stay away from this huge blob trying to get to you. Um, but I feel like that's not very as dynamic as I want it to be. So I had two ideas of either making it random chance that they might charge you or not, or make it a little bit more complicated, where the AI has certain sectors around the player that they make sure to try to populate with a group each. And then one of those sectors would be right on the player, of course, or the group in question if uh, they have a low count. But I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I might just try random chance and see how that feels. That way, some AI actually move around while some still charge. It might make the same effect. So, because I hear the vehicle drove off, man, the AI they did not like that open area there. That's for sure. Okay, so I fixed some bugs. That I did some pretty silly mistakes. Just a couple commands and things like that, like missing brackets and stuff. Nothing really worthy to talk about. Um, Trying to think what's even worth it to say. So here I'm testing the remote execute command using RTSE again, and as I load it up here, and of course I'm working on the scripted version first because it just allows me uh, really just a lot more flexibility to do so. To constantly reload it and not have to recompile a mod. So I'm just testing the remote execute function here to make sure I understand fully how it works. And then I set up a little scenario here where I watch this AI crawl off a roof because he can. This always baffles me, but anyway, I might have to. God, I'm thinking of doing a check where I predict where the AI is moving, and if that spot is drastically, I don't know, less in height than where they are, then it forces them to stop. And that's about all I could do with that kind of control with the AI, because getting them to move on top of buildings and things is near impossible. I could play around with it, but I don't know how to ever get that to be that good. So I realized there's one. I put see the X order get in false right there. I actually the false for some reason I thought that needed to be in brackets, and I was like, wait a second, or does that? It does not need to be in brackets. So it just tells the AI commander to kick them out essentially. So I go ahead and fix that. And you can see it still let them off. The funny thing here though is there's one guy left in there, but the funny thing here was the squad actually went to go help, and then the sniper died, and then they decided to fall back into a town, which I thought was pretty neat. But I thought it was also brutal that they just left their buddy for dead. Uh, so yeah, I'm looking at the FSM system again, trying to think. I don't know. Sometimes I just tweak things just because it doesn't look good. Trying to think when I think I really got that down. I'm just gonna go ahead and test again in a minute. And actually, what was I doing here? I don't even remember. Oh, that's right. I was changing how the vehicles work. I didn't like how the vehicle drove right up onto the enemy. What I want them to do, or what they actually do, they drive to the closest allies how I had it before. But what I want them to do is still use the same kind of pathing that the groups do for vehicles, and this would apply for even tanks and things and like that. So they wouldn't just charge to the nearest friendly, but they would actually path around and surprise you by having a tank roll up a hill onto some trees, or do some things like that, or have a helicopter actually move around in a formation or a pattern around their target, and then drop off when they get close enough. So there's that. So we're seeing here. So that's what I'm setting up right now. Is as I'm changing how that works. So instead of them just charging at the enemy, they essentially will try to pass. Now, it might end up that they still charge sometimes. That's up to the AI to decide that now at this point. But it gives more of a brain to not just go, I'm going to just drive right up into some enemy fire. Alright, so let's see here. So it's a little bit more just of the code heavy. Not much really going on. Just a lot of back and forth testing, which sometimes is the most boring and tedious part of coding. What I'm looking to do next time is a little thing. I actually got an idea from a friend here that on Arma 2 they used to have a loiter waypoint, and the loiter waypoint used to be kind of cool. Like you set the AI on a loiter waypoint, and they would actually loiter around. They would walk around. They would sit. They would just wander. And I'm gonna just do something like that for a loiter waypoint. Because now in Arma 3 it doesn't work like that at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for Arma 3 as well. Set up a fancy function for that, just for more fun, for dynamic missions. Like if you want to have a bunch of AI that are just kind of wandering around. So you can see here, this is right before I stopped. You can see the squad got out perfectly. The truck isn't just charging in. Um, and so that squad right there, so I put 2 AI against the entire squad. And surprisingly, they kept falling back and shooting and falling back and shooting and killing the Op 4. You can see they've already killed 4. 2 of them. 2 of the AI were able to do that, and you would not usually see that in vanilla that much. And so, the other day, this truck still decided to run up there for some god awful reason, but that's his choice. Oh, one of the Blue 4 finally died. But now you can see they're getting shot from the guys on the right, and they're finally getting picked off. And one of the AI actually is trying to flank around there, but you see how much more dynamic this is? It is starting to feel real nice. It's definitely getting there. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope to get you a video soon with the loader command, and hopefully show off what that does. Thank you. Bye.